Hello and welcome back to That Does Not Belong to Me. I didn't think I was going to do this. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited to be back here with you guys. That Does Not Belong to Me was going to take a wee little break, or actually a bigger break. I had a therapy session near the end of last year, and it just kind of came out of me that the podcast would maybe be the thing that I could put a pin in to create a little bit more space in my life. And I think it's really important to do that with things sometimes, even if it's things you enjoy, because when you take that space from it, it really shows you if that's something you actually want space from, or if it's something that actually you miss or you crave. And it really helps you sit with the reasons why as well. So it's not just, unintentionally doing it and doing it out of habit. It becomes a really conscious choice to bring it back into your life. So here I am. It is technically episode 37 of the podcast, which is season 4, episode 1. I'm saying season 4 with such emphasis because as I was talking about starting it up again with my podcast editor and with Duncan, I was like, 4? Is it 4? Has already been 3? And the seasons are maybe on the shorter side, but still, I'm just thrilled that I'm continuing with this. And that does not belong to me, that statement. I'm doing a little bit of a rebrand with the cover photo, with the intro, with how I go about this season. But that statement still stands so strong for me and in my life. Even last night, I was in a situation where I had a hard conversation with someone after a yoga class. And on the car ride home, I just said it so profoundly, that does not belong to me. That does not belong to me. And I often say it with awe because I'm like, of course it doesn't. Of course their shit isn't my shit, you know? So I just hope that that statement has helped you in whatever way, or that it helps you moving forward, because it's a really powerful realization when we realize that, so much of what we think we have to carry is not ours to carry, actually. So what I wanted to do to kick off actually is aligned with my theme for the week. So every week in my yoga classes at the Well, which is the yoga studio that my partner and I opened, technically October 1st, but soft opening September 1st of 2021. It's going strong. We're loving it so much. Such an amazing community has been built there. But the theme for this week that I was teaching and guiding there was patience, or is patience. We're midweek right now. I'll be teaching a fire flow class tonight where I bring that in as well. This was a requested theme from a friend of mine, Ashley. And I think it's such a perfect one. And in so many ways, there's so many ways that I could spin it. I could do just a whole like masterclass on patience, and not that I'm an expert in it, but I just think there's ways that we can work on it, and without it being perfected. And one of the things I spoke about was how frustration is something that often comes up when we are lacking patience. This feeling of, it's literally this sound that's coming from our gut. And since this is technically a human design based podcast, it just comes and goes as I please, or as my guests please. But 70% of the population are either mani-gens, manifesting generators, or generators. And if you're new to human design, go back to episode 1 or 2, I think, where I gave a what is human design. And that'll be a good place to start, and for you to get figured out as to what energy type you are, what your authority is. But 70% of the population, so mani-gens and generators, wait, I was heading in a certain direction. Oh, yes, got it. You'll know that if you listen, I like to normalize losing your train of thought, because if it happens to you, it's very normal, happens to everyone. But that frustration is our not self theme. So our signature is satisfaction, meaning that that is when we're in alignment, things are feeling good, we're feeling this sense of satisfaction. Take note of those moments and what has led to them. But then on the flip side of that, those moments of frustration, often it's because we've made a decision that's out of alignment, or we're just doing something that doesn't feel good. And, we don't always need to overthink it. Sometimes frustration just happens because you spill your butternut squash soup all over the kitchen, which I did yesterday. And because I was working on this theme, I just chuckled my way through this very long cleanup. And Marley helped me, just like eating up the little remnants of butternut squash and millet. Um, so it does help to, first of all, just take notice of those moments when you are in frustration. Because it can be really easy to just like feel like you're in it and there's no way out of it, or just without that sense of awareness, the frustration just kind of takes over, and it's not a good feeling. So if we can just take a moment, pause, and feel that frustration and say, okay, what happened that led to this? Or what can I do now that can help alleviate that can help, move me in a different direction. And that's patience, right? That's just that little pause to say, what's going on here? And so what I was guiding at the start of the yoga classes, which is what I want to do with you guys right now. And what's funny is I actually hate it when people guide these sort of things. I don't hate it. Hate is a strong word. But when you start something, like you're about to just listen and tune in, and then they're like, we're going to do a little meditation or visualization. And sometimes I'm like, just talk to me. Like, I just want to listen. But I'm going to do it because I think it's important. And I often, whenever I do these things and actually follow along, I do feel better than I did before. So all it's going to be is a breathing like you would breathe when you are in frustration. Think of a moment when your partner or someone in your life did something that was like not the way you would have done it, or they just start feeling like they're in your way and it's not feeling good. And then we breathe sometimes this and I always laugh when I do it because I feel like I can recall so many moments of doing that. But honestly, guys, it feels so good. So do it with me. Take a deep breath in through the nose, and then don't be shy to be loud. And it's not so much of a like steamy breath out like we would often guide, like which can feel good too. That's more of a like relief breath. But try this frustrated breath. And just one more time, breathe in fully. Doesn't matter if anyone's around you, go for it. And when you breathe like that, that's when the person's like, are you okay? And what the cool thing is that I think, I haven't scientifically looked into this, but that's your breath just knowing what to do in that moment. That's your body saying, you need to take a freaking breath, lady or sir or whoever, and just pause and like let it out, right? That's exactly what's happening. So all that to say is allow yourself to breathe in frustration, allow yourself those moments, and then switch it up. And then just do something that, makes you feel good and brings in any sense of peace. So where I'm doing this podcast from, I'm going to shift it now. I've got a few things I want to talk about today, but I want to keep it fairly short, just as a little welcome back. And I'm going to talk a bit about what's coming up in my world. I'm going to talk a bit about my healing. I also want to offer just some little tips. I want you to be able to walk away from these podcasts, just, maybe just thinking even, and like maybe something I say in this podcast will come up later this week, or at some point in your life where you're in a moment where you're like, oh, I remember when Jamie said that this could be really helpful right now. That is my hope anyways. And obviously, as always, take what you need, leave what you don't. So where I am right now, I feel like I manifested this situation. What happened is that I made a statement coming into 2023 that this year I wanted to, first of all, do less is what I'm saying, is what I'm calling it. But I'm taking a real moment to figure out what less is for me. And I just spoke with a friend yesterday, and we both it wasn't a comparison, but we just both shared what our schedules are. We are both entrepreneurs, and she has a jam-packed, first session of the winter season. And I was like, wow, I thought I do a lot. So it was really interesting to see. And her seasons fluctuate like mine do, like a lot of ours do. And that is okay. It was really neat to see the difference between how we're moving through this season, but that neither of us are wrong in how we're doing it, And so when I just named my actual teaching schedule, it seemed like a breeze. I'm taking Thursdays completely off. The weekends I teach from time to time, which I don't mind at all because I love having a weekday off. Mondays is going to be like, I'm not teaching day, but I'm actually just, sitting in my businesses, the well and my personal coaching and yoga business, and just seeing how I can best set myself up for the week, which I honestly just love doing. So there will still be stuff. I'm not taking like tons of days off, and I'm okay with that because I love so much of what I do in my business. But one of the things I wanted to do coming forward in this year was take little mini getaways. And this felt for some reason like a very challenging thing to do. And first things first is I was like, I don't really have the money, which, that could just be like a money belief that's limiting me or whatnot. I could work through, but, I can find the money to do that sort of thing. But then there's just all these other excuses, these other reasons, like I'm needed at home or I'm needed to help my dad or these other things that are just, again, excuses, right? But it was something that I really was like, I need to figure out how to do this. And even to the point where I thought I'll just stay in my Airstream in my backyard and I'll try to spiffy it up a little, make sure it's cozy and warm and doesn't smell like, moldy blankets or whatever it currently smells like. But that too is still quite close to home. And I think many of us, you can probably relate that you just need to actually escape and get away. So a friend of mine posted that she was renting her house, and I ended up checking in about it with her and saying, can I rent your house? And the cool part about this house is that it actually used to belong to another really good friend of mine who has since moved away. So I've spent time in this house. I came here when my other friend had first bought it, and we had pizza and champagne. So this house just holds a lot of like sweetness for me. And in the end, we ended up doing more so of a trade. I was here and I just shoveled the porch, and then I get to come and hang out here in this little cozy space that I just feel like away from it all. And I get to work and I get to be creative and do whatever it is I want to do. So that I feel like I manifested, just saying. And manifestation is bringing idea to action. That's all it is. And I don't have more powerful skills in manifesting than you do. You just have to be willing, and you have to trust, and you have to be open. And I think more importantly is you have to start speaking the things out loud. You just have to start asking for the thing and start talking to people about it and writing it down, and however you can put it out there. And then just see. So much trust comes into this. And the other thing I just wanted to make note of too, that I feel like I manifested about over a year ago now, but Spa Bolton is a spa that I love to go to. If you see me on Instagram, you've probably seen me post about it. But Duncan and I went there like over a year ago, and I was like, since we live out here, maybe we should look into getting a season's pass here. This could be really good for us, And then shortly after, the lovely manager of Spa Bolton was like, would you want to be one of our ambassadors? I really like what you put out there. I think it could really work well together. And I was like, of course. And that just meant that I could go to the spa for free and I get to talk about it and share about it. And I do that with businesses I love anyways. Anything I share about Spa Bolton, I'd be sharing even if I wasn't getting this beautiful bonus. It's such a beautiful, quaint little spa that's nestled in the forest. And the staff are so nice. I just find it very unpretentious, which I find a lot of spas can be quite, I don't know, just very strict almost, which is fine. And that's sometimes what we need at a spa, is just like total quiet. But now I get to teach yoga there, and I teach little mini meditation sessions there a couple times a month. And you can still use discount code Jamie15 to purchase gift certificates, would be the way to go about it. And then you can use your gift certificate for anything. So if you're looking for a little getaway, I highly recommend that. So just a little plug for that, but also just to say that I really think I manifested that as well. And you could say like, oh, Jamie, you're lucky, you know a lot of people or have a lot of contacts. And like, that is part of the manifestation process on my end. I'm like, I am a connector. I love making connections with new people. Like if you reach out to me and, message me on Instagram, I'm writing you back. It's not a front that I put on. That connection is one of my core values. So I think it's all been weaving its way in this direction for a reason. Okay. One of the reasons the podcast is starting back sooner than planned, one of the many reasons, is okay, wait, which one? There's a few, but you guys are the reason. If you're listening to this right now, you are the reason that this podcast started back up. The last episode I did was a very like heart expanding one for me. I really put my whole heart out there when I spoke. I cried a couple of times. It's been a really challenging past season, and I haven't admitted that very often. I was diagnosed with follicular lymphoma in July. And then my father was diagnosed with follicular lymphoma a couple of months later. Apparently it's not genetic, it's epigenetic potentially, which means something in your environment can bring out that gene. So very strange, also very fucking huge. It's very big, especially because my dad seemed to be a little more progressed and he's been in chemo now, a couple rounds. He doesn't really like to talk about it. If you run into him, don't ask him. I mean, you can ask him how he's doing, but he's going to say, I'm fine. I'm fine. Like, as if, like, why are you even asking? So, which I think is cool. I think that's almost like a powerful mindset thing of like, he is fine. He is fine, you know, and that's something we sometimes can do to ourselves or just can almost convince ourselves of. And I'm playing with this idea of, I'll just throw this in because I was going to wait to talk about it a bit later, but this idea of I am healed was another statement that I was bringing into this year. I am healed. And that one of my coaches, that she encouraged it rather than say healing, is just like, it's already done. I already am. And I think that's powerful in terms of how we use our language and the tense that we speak our verbs. As in, we already have it. We already are it. I feel like I'm not quite there yet in terms of my true belief. Because when you're saying these things, you have to believe them for them to actually work, right? And I think that's where we get stuck a lot of the time, is we just say the thing out loud and we're like, why didn't it work? And it's like, well, we didn't fully, truly, at the depths of our soul, believe it, you know? So right now I'm working on things like moving all of these cookbooks that I had like laid out on my island or coffee table that were like, you know, cancer cookbooks or healing for your cancer cookbooks or whatever it is. And it just was like the word cancer, cancer, cancer everywhere. And so this feels good right now, is just to kind of remove that word from my vision. I already have enough things on my body. Sometimes I have a couple of new lymph nodes peeking up that last I checked with the oncologist were fine, you know, but there's still this constant reminder of you have cancer. And so that's where I feel like my block is to the true belief that I am healed, right? And the word denial has come up a lot for me, that, and it's not so much that I'm worried about being in denial, it's that I'm worried other people will think I'm in denial. And like, that's just being fully honest, you guys. Like, I do this work on like not caring what other people think and being my authentic true self and all of that. But still, sometimes it's going to creep in where you're like, well, I don't want people to think that of me. And then you really get to the root of why. Why don't you want people to think that? And I'm not sure I have the answer yet, but just know I'm playing with this right now. This is something I'm working through, is this belief that I'm healed versus, you know what, this is something I have. I was told it's chronic. It's a watch and wait situation that I might have forever, that I will have forever, according to the doctors, actually. And where I feel like I'm really powerful is that as soon as I say that out loud, I'm like, no, just no. Like, I don't, that's not going to be the case for me. And that, when I say that, I truly believe. So maybe I'm not currently healed right now, but I know I will be. I know I will be. So there, I just worked through that with you guys. So thank you. So just to say, if there's anything going on in your life that's coming up as like a block or a limitation of like, you couldn't possibly do that, you couldn't possibly have that, dissect this shit out of that, you know, and just say like, where is this coming from that I think I can't have it? Why? And if it's because so and so told you, or because when you were little this happened to you, or this, you know, your parents have always said, no, you have to work hard, you have to work 40 plus hours a week to make money, or whatever the block is, you know, dissect that and truly question it, because it gets really exciting when you get to the bottom of that. So that's one of the reasons. No, I totally offshoot it there, but that's fine. One of the reasons I started back sooner than later is because of you guys. Another reason is because I got reached out to by my mentor. I took a yoga teacher training recently with her. Her name is Mary Beth LaRue. I've been following her for a long time. Her and her once partner, Jackie Carr, who's a goals coach, they had something called Rock Your Bliss, or it was actually 7 Days to Bliss. I think Rock Your Bliss was their retreat that I never managed to make it on. But I loved working with them. And Mary Beth really just spoke to me in terms of how she lives her life and how she teaches. And let's just say I put her up on a bit of a pedestal, which maybe we shouldn't do with people. But honestly, I just like, I think we can do that. And I think, what is the word that, there's a word, I'm going to think of it after, but where it's just someone who's kind of just ahead of you, you know, in terms of the steps that you're taking. And it's not that you're going to follow in their exact footsteps, but it gives you inspiration to see that they're doing it, so I can do it too. And she even has a sweet, sweet little adopted boy, and they went through the foster system for quite a while. I know it was quite a struggle for them. And I remember following her on that journey before, like, we were trying to get pregnant. And even in that time, which was, I think, about 5 years ago, I think Angel's 5, I remember thinking, like, this gave me hope. I didn't know what my fertility journey was going to be like. And we're still in the works of trying to get pregnant. We might start IUI soon because that option has been given to us. But anyways, all that to say is she reached out to me asking if I wanted to do a workshop with her, a collaboration with her on human design. And we just had a call a couple days ago, and for it was just like a pinch me moment. And I really held it together. I wasn't like totally, I mean, starstruck. I was just in her teacher training, so I got to spend time with her in a small group setting, which was really special. Um, but she also said, I listened to your podcast. And she had listened to my last episode. And then she said, even on the call, she said, I listened to a few episodes of your podcast. And I was like, excuse me? So, anyways, and like, not to say she's more important than you guys who are listening, whoever's listening to this, you are all equally important to me on this journey. But it was just a really special moment to hear that people sort of beyond who I even think this reach could, or this podcast could reach, are listening. So that's really exciting to me. And then my own personal excitement was really the last straw that actually pushed me to do it. Was like, I love talking, actually. I love teaching. I love sharing. Sometimes it's flustery or flundered, and I don't care. I hope you don't either. But I just love it. So thank you so much for having me back. All right. Now, this next little part I wanted to talk about is the investments I've been making in my healing. Um, Before I get to that, just know this next season is totally up in the air. Because I was so quick to like decide that I wanted to launch it again. I checked in with my editor Hannah, and she was like, "Yep, go for it. Like we can get it out next week." So it'll be coming out on January 18th. To be honest, I wanted to get it out before the playground starts, so I can share a little bit more about the playground, which starts on January 24th. But all that to say is I've been rolling fast speed to get this going, and especially because I do want to do a little rebrand. So I reached out to my friend who is a graphic designer and artist, Ashley, and she created the new cover photo, which I haven't seen yet, but I know I adore. I can tell you right now, because when you're listening to this, it will be on the cover of the podcast, and I already adore it. So that's all been moving real fast. But why not? Why not? What am I waiting for? And that's something too that I feel like my manifesting generator energy is so good at, is just like going for the thing that I want to go for, and without perfection at all. So go for it. Just do the damn thing. So all that to say is I really want to revisit how the podcast looks, who I interview, what we talk about. Human design will 100% still be integrated. The world of entrepreneurship, 100% still be integrated, but I'm not sure that it will only be entrepreneurs that I interview. I think there's so much out there in the world and so many amazing people doing amazing things out there that I just want to bring in lots of different types of conversation. So open to feedback. Please message me any ideas you have, or even if you have a specific person in mind, and even if it's you, message me and we're going to get rolling. Okay, so investment in my healing is my next sort of topic. And first of all, investing in yourself, you've probably heard this before, it's the best fucking investment you can ever make. And it doesn't mean you need to invest in me. It doesn't mean you need to sign up for the playground or for the Blitz, which is my business coaching offer right now thing. I'm really excited about it, actually. I know it just sounded like it wasn't, but it doesn't need to be with me. Find that person, find that program, find that group, find that topic that you feel you need to work through or work on, and go for it. Go to town. It's never not going to be worth it unless you don't make it worth it. And sometimes, okay, in saying that, sometimes we can choose the wrong thing at the wrong time. Or sometimes, I know in the coaching world, it can be a bit, the word that comes to mind is skeezy, actually, which, sorry to say that, but not sorry. But some of these I've just seen like the dark side, and I already kind of talk about, I've interviewed other entrepreneurs where I'm like, how do you actually feel about the coaching world? Is it actually like a multi-level marketing scheme? And in some ways it is. There's these huge coaches that then bring in other coaches that then bring in other coaches. And, the cost for their services gets less and less, but those top coaches are making millions of dollars. And that's just not the world I want to be in. And I just think there's so much good that could be shared and coached, but not in that way. So all that to say is you don't need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars for it to be a true and honest investment in yourself. Spend $20 and show up. And I think sometimes there's a fine line between, the number. Let's say I'm just going to give the playground as an example. It's $211 for 3 whole months of group coaching, of yoga classes. I'm calling it a movement-based coaching program. That's kind of what I deciphered that it is, because we use yoga to help guide these themes and these ideas and these lessons that you can help then bring off of the mat. But $211 is maybe a lot of money for some of you, and in which case, message me and we can figure it out. We can do a payment plan. There is a payment plan available, actually. And for others, that might be like pennies, and you might just not take it seriously because it's too low of a price point. So that's going to be different for everyone in terms of what the dollar amount is that makes you show up. I really think it needs to be a little bit stretchy so that it actually encourages you to show up. And one of the things with the playground, the way I created it, is that I want you to show up. And the first round, let's say half the people did. I had 18 people sign up, which I was thrilled about. Half the people showed up live. I know another few were watching the recordings regularly, and I know another few had great intentions that they could fit this into their life, and maybe it was just not the right timing, or maybe they didn't like what it was in the end, and that's totally fine too. That's going to happen, and if you're an entrepreneur and that's happened to you, please don't take offense to that. I personally don't. Yeah. So if you've been in my program and you're like, shit, you didn't see my face once, like I don't mind at all. That's okay. I just feel like for me, yeah, sure, I'd love to make that money, but also I just want you to do the thing. That's like so important to me. So really think about it when you're signing up for something. Really take time, sit with it. Don't rush into making the decision unless it's like a full body hell yes in that immediate moment. But that investment is just really important. And that commitment to yourself is such a huge thing too. So and I just kind of wrote this I wrote it in my welcome email to the people who have already signed up for the playground. We have 15 people in there, actually 16. I'm so excited. I know there's going to be more coming. I can't wait. But I wrote that, dang it, guys, I wanted to prove to you once that losing your train of thought is normal, but I was hoping only once. Okay, I can't remember, but that's okay. I'm going to come back to my original topic is investing, right? So healing is what I've been investing in lately. I know when I talk about the playground, it'll come back to me after what I want to talk about, but healing has been what I've spent recently thousands of dollars on, including supplements that my friend Sada guided me towards. I trust her. And I trust them. I trust the supplements. I know different people have different beliefs on those sort of things, but they're all natural. They help with detoxing, they help with my immunity, with so many other things that I just can't help but as I take them to feel like it's working. And I have to believe that, right? Like otherwise, what's the point? So yeah, that's how I feel. And then I took a bunch of programs that were not business programs. They were for me. They were for my soul. And again, for my healing. I did with the same coach with Chelsea. I did the meditation startup, which was so important to me because meditation is something I struggle with regularly. And then what's so funny is that I actually guide meditation and I guide it in a way that I hope is accessible. That's really how I hope to teach everything, is just that it's accessible for people. But one of the things that stood out to me from that program is it's not about clearing your mind completely. It's not about even, decluttering all the thoughts you have. It's about the quality of your thoughts. And that I just think is so powerful to realize. What the hell are we spending time thinking about? Because so often it's garbage. It's mean. It's harmful to ourselves. It's stressful, it's worrisome, and it's not to say your life needs to be all good and peachy and perfect all the time. But when it comes to your thoughts, and something else she says is your thoughts are your thoughts. Wait, what is it? Your thoughts are thoughts. Your thoughts are just thoughts. But it's true. They're just thoughts. And we think they are more powerful than they are in a way. I mean, sorry, they are powerful, but we think they have more control than they actually do. Or we think that we don't have control over them, when in fact, as hard as it may seem or feel sometimes, we do. So what are you spending time thinking about? And that just moves me into the next program I took, which was routine to ritual. I'm just sharing my favorite parts of these programs. So in routine to ritual, my favorite part was the window of possibility, or the what if window. So you pick a window in your house, and I picked above my kitchen sink. And right now I'm actually staring at a window above a kitchen sink, which is just perfect. And excuse me, I don't know if you could hear that burp. Whoops. Every time you walk by that window, you stop and check in with what you're thinking about. Really, what it gets to be is a signal, or just like a real loud, like alert, or I would almost call it like a trigger to make you stop and check in. And if what you're thinking about is is negative, again, not that your life needs to be all perfect and positive, but try this out. If what you're thinking about is negative, then change that. Then re-speak that, rewrite that. And the example I give, because probably many of you are mothers, and from the mothers that I know, you're really hard on yourself. I think you're all doing an incredible job, yet you think you're not often. And so one of the examples I give is like, say you've just yelled at your children and freaked out at them, and then you walk by the window and you stop and you say, what if? And it becomes like just putting out there through this window of possibility the what ifs, and not like, what if I'm ruining their life, right? That's not what we're doing here. It's, what if I'm the best mom for them? What if me showing that side of me, that raw, real side of me, is showing them how to be human, and then they'll know they can be human too. So you just, whatever it is, you dissect it once again, and you rewrite it in a way that spins it so that it's hopeful and that it's helpful. Because those thoughts are so much better than thinking you're ruining their lives. Because if you're spending a lot of time thinking that, you probably will. That's so much of what I'm learning, especially through Chelsea, but other people too. I'm in another program called the Coven of Badasses with Anna Marbeck, who's a hypnotherapist. So this is the work I'm doing on myself, is those two programs right now. And a lot of it's around your beliefs and the limitations we have on ourselves. And I feel like I've worked on limiting beliefs, which I have, and they're just coming up again. It's work that we need to constantly do. So it's so helpful to have these teachers helping guide me. But yeah, like, it just goes to show, how powerful our beliefs are, because I really believe in the self-fulfilling prophecy where, if we talk about something enough, if we call ourselves a certain name enough, like, I'm not good at that, I'm so bad at that, every time I try that, it doesn't work, every time I try that, this happens, it doesn't work out. And I see this with my dad a lot, and I'm like, of course it doesn't. Of course it's not. Like, of course, this is the program you're telling yourself. So change the story, pick up the fucking pen and rewrite that story. Okay, so that's the work I'm doing on myself. There's another program I'm in now too. So there's the Coven of Badasses, and then I'm also in the club with Chelsea again. When you find a teacher or a leader that speaks to you, go with them. And I've changed so many times. So I've come and gone from Chelsea, actually, and then I've had other coaches and mentors and teachers along the way. Just what calls to your soul, what language, that the teacher's person uses speaks deeply to you. And if, like, it's not me, good, find someone who it is. I mean, not good. Of course, I would love it if it was me. So a huge part of my healing is actually this mindset work. And a big part of what I'm going to work through, like, especially moving into the beginning of this year, is honesty, is true honesty. I might get a little weepy almost as I think about this, but I have some conversations that I need to have with people, with family, with people in my life that have held important roles in certain ways that I need to revisit, and I need to speak from my heart and how to reprogram this relationship with them, or to shift it, or to shuffle it, change it. I don't know. It's not to eliminate it. That's not what I want to do with any of these relationships I'm speaking to, but this is the work I'm going to have to do, and it's fucking hard, and I know I'm brave enough to do it, and you are too. If ever there's any conversations you need to have, it sucks, they're hard, they're no fun, but get to the other side of it and see what happens, and you'll know that it was worth it, right? So this is the biggest part of my healing. I'm not going to carry anyone else's shit with me anymore. And I say that I'm still working on it, but I don't want to carry it anymore. So that's part of these conversations. Okay, just briefly, let me talk about the playground. Even if you're like, Jamie, I'm not joining the frickin' playground. Bear with me, because I just want to share a couple things that might be helpful even if you don't join the playground. Okay, so we had round one of the playground in the fall. I absolutely adored it. I spoke about it in my last episode, the last episode of season 3, but it starts again on January 24th. It's a 3-month commitment to yourself, to literally only yourself. And the main thing I want to say, or just the biggest thing that I think is like such a powerful enforcement for you to maybe be kicked in the butt to join, is that those 9 women that I said showed up like regularly for our calls, for our yoga classes that happen every twice a week. One's 1 hour, one's 30 minutes. One's in the morning, one's in the evening. And then we have a monthly workshop. Those ones that showed up for it all signed up again, all of them. So, or maybe not, maybe there's one who didn't, but that's fine. It's a different season of her life. I don't hold any offense to that. Like, sometimes you just need that thing for the 3 months, but the fact that so many of them re-signed up, just it's it's so telling me that I'm on the right track. And the playground was such a gift to me. And obviously, it was a gift to them if they're jumping in again. So, what's fun too, after speaking with one of my dear friends, Kayla, on an Instagram live the other day, talking about the playground, because she was the first to jump into it and she's joining again this next round, is that it gets to be a choose your own adventure. And when I put it out there to my Facebook community, like, does anyone want to jump on a live with me and talk about the playground? Because I'd love for the rest of the people in my community to hear about it from someone who was in it. I was so surprised that she said yes, because first of all, she's never done a live before. So she was nervous, and I was very proud of her for doing it. But also because I think she only showed up once to a live call, maybe twice. But otherwise, she did it in her own way, on her own time, no set schedule, and she still benefited from it. So this is why it's such a great choose your own adventure, where you could show up consistently twice a week. I don't think that's crazy to commit an hour and a half to yourself a week. It might be, you might look at your schedule in this season of life and be like, nope. But what if you could do them when the kids went to bed? Or what if you could wake up half an hour earlier and do the Tuesday replay then? And every once a month, there's a Sunday workshop. Well, actually, the first one's on a Saturday because I'm taking time off in February. But if you could commit an hour and a half to yourself on a Sunday morning to really dive deep and into what you could create for that month ahead. So there's just so many ways that you can do it. The Facebook group is optional, but even someone used their husband's account because I think she was realizing the benefit of connecting with the community in that way. It's such an awesome group of people. It's specifically women, but it's not like specifically that have signed up, but it's not exclusive to women. So anyone is welcome to join the playground. It really is for all. There is literally all ages in this group. And I love when women of like, there's two that were 70 that are joining again. And they're, when they share, everyone is just like listening with their ear to the screen, like, oh my God, what wisdom are they sharing with us? So it's such a gift to have. And obviously the younger generations too get to share their lessons in their own way. There's a girl, Kelly, who is a teacher and she's only 26, but like, I was just like, oh my God, you have so much to offer. You are so brilliant and wise. This was in one of our book club calls that she showed up for. So there's a book club too. We're going to read Gina Davis's Dying of Politeness. I started reading it, and then we had our final book club meeting from the last round and I talked about it. And someone had said they love reading like a biography type, and so do I. And Gina Davis is just a brilliant woman. So I'm super excited to read that as our book club. And it's one book over 3 months. Again, I try to just make this doable because for me, that's how it works. It's one book over 3 months. So I wanted to just share my favorite themes from the last playground. So my favorite theme, one of them was perspective. And this is just one where I really feel like I've had a really transformational shift in terms of my perspective over the last few years, I would say, really. And to the point where when I was diagnosed with cancer, I was able to shift that into a positive thing. And I think it takes practice to be able to do that. I think it takes knowing that sometimes it's going to flip and you're going to be in a pity party moment where you're like, why me? But honestly, that hasn't happened much for me because I see the gift in it. And that is all to do with how you look at it, right? That's your perspective. So if there's hard things going on in your life right now, there's got to be something good about it. And I know that might be really, really hard to see, especially if it's like someone sick. Like my dad, this fucking sucks. This is horrible. And it's stirring up so much shit in my family that it's so hard. But I've been spending time with him. And even though it's not always been good, there's been a lot of really special moments. And I know I'm not going to regret these moments. So there's good in it all. And even the hard conversations and the shit it's stirring up, probably a good thing, even though I want to just avoid it all. So perspective was one of them. Miracles was another. And I've never done a theme of miracles before. It came up at a time, not that it's all about my dad. Like, I mean, it's about me, but I share what I'm living through is really how it works. And miracles was just in a moment where like anything is possible. Literally anything is possible, but you got to be open to it. You got to be open. You got to believe that anything is possible, and then it can be. So that was a really kind of just special one for a time in our life or my life where things were very scary. And then intention is one I bring up like regularly. Probably intention will come back. It might be the only one. I don't want to revisit too many of the same ones. I think it'll all be new because what I'm experiencing will be new. But I think intention is just so important. And it's just that question of why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you doing that? Why did you choose that thing? Why did you say yes to that thing? Why did you say no to that thing? Why? And it's the same if you're considering, like, say, joining something like the playground or anything else that you want to maybe take on in your life. Really dissect it as to why. And it's just going to make the experience, then if you decide like, okay, yes, I need this, it's going to make the experience more intentional, really, because you're going to know why you're there, and it's going to make you show up for it, and it's going to make you do the work because there's a strong reason as to why you're there. So I think that's just important to check in with anything that we do. So finally, just when it comes to this, I wanted to share just about the playground. I just wanted to share a couple of, I guess they're testimonials, but throughout the time, there were people writing, and I didn't ask for testimonial, but in the playground Facebook group, some people just wrote like naturally just on their own after the call. And I copy pasted, and I have a document called Kind Words or Loving Words. And if ever I'm feeling down about my business or my skills or anything, I just go and I read them, but also they're fun to share as well. So one of them was the bi-weekly meetings. So again, there's 2 meetings a week. So the bi-weekly meetings help me set accountability, new intention mindsets, and much needed yoga movement. The way Jamie leads the yoga truly is touching and effective for me, and also acts as a kind of meditation, which I love because, as I said before, I struggle with meditation, but I think I'm a good meditation teacher, actually. But I think this member of the playground also means it, and that the whole time in the playground is kind of like a meditation. And I'll just say, actually, because I know I haven't really spoken to this about the playground, but why I started the playground and why it's called the playground is to help you create a modern day version of the playground in your life. It's to help instigate little pockets of joy and fun and play in your life. And it's to help make this really, really hard work. Again, it's hard. It's so hard, but it's to help make it more fun because we're doing it together. And that alone, honestly, makes it more fun. So then just one more quote here, or I guess again, testimonial. Thank you for creating a space for these programs. The things I would not be doing right now if it weren't for you. I would not be a mom. I would not feel like my best self in my relationships right now. I wouldn't be aware of who I am and where I want to go. I wouldn't be okay with changing my mind. And I really love that one. And I really have a hard time taking credit, for helping someone with all of these amazing shifts and transformations. But I'm a really good coach, and I'm a really good teacher. And I also feel like you are really good too. So the person who wrote that, she did the changes. She's the one, not me. So it takes a team, it takes a village, right? Okay. That's all I wanted to talk about today. I feel like there could have been more like whammo blammo, shazammy, fancy stuff, but that's it. And I just wanted to get it kick-started is really it. So what to expect from this next season? What do you want? What do you want? Please tell me. I'm really excited. We're going to do 8 episodes. The episodes come out Wednesday mornings every other week. Please share this podcast if you enjoy it. I would love to have it grow more and more for more people to listen to it. And please join the playground because I think we could have so much fun together. It kicks off January 24th, and you won't regret it. I really strongly believe that. I can say that with true passion and belief. So thank you again so much for being here. Thank you for encouraging me. If you encourage me to kick this off again or to continue with this podcast, I'm so excited for everything that's to come. I think it's going to be a really, really fun season. So we'll see you soon. Bye.